It started like every other traffic stop, flashing lights, a camera rolling, and a woman in uniform hungry for views. Officer Karen Hayes had built her fame by turning humiliation into entertainment. But that morning, when she pulled over Malcolm Ross, nothing went according to script. He was calm. Too calm. And when her arrogance crossed the line, his silence turned into something far more dangerous, the truth. Because Malcolm wasn't just another target for her next viral video. He was an undercover federal agent, sent to expose the rot she thought she'd buried. And this time, the camera wouldn't protect her. It would destroy her. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe so more stories like this reach people who need to hear them. For nearly a decade, Officer Karen Hayes had been the face of the Brookdale Police Department. Calm, confident, and always camera-ready. To the public, she was the good cop who kept her town safe. But inside the force, whispers told another story. Her videos weren't just about law enforcement, they were about control. Traffic stops are edited to make her look heroic. Clips where drivers, often young black men, were mocked or humiliated. Each one earned her more followers, more praise, and quiet envy from her peers. That morning was no different. The sun hadn't fully risen when Karen spotted a black sedan rolling a few miles over the limit. She smiled to herself, flicked on her lights, and adjusted the dashcam angle. Another perfect clip for her online series. Inside the car, Malcolm Ross stayed calm, no shaking hands, no nervous glances at the mirror. He already knew who she was and what she'd done. For weeks, he'd been watching her, gathering footage, listening to complaints that never made it past the department walls. His job wasn't to fight her on the roadside, it was to let her reveal herself. When Karen approached his window, her tone was sharp, rehearsed, the kind of authority that left no room for humanity. Malcolm responded politely, each word measured. To her, he looked like every other driver she'd stopped before. To him, she looked exactly like the kind of officer he'd been sent to expose. Neither of them knew that within hours, one of their lives would be over, and the others would never be the same again. The first few minutes of the stop went as expected. Karen asked for license and registration. Malcolm handed them over without hesitation. But something about his calmness unsettled her. He wasn't intimidated. He wasn't defensive. He was observant. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," he said evenly. "You wanted to." The line caught her off guard. For a second, her mask slipped, then came the smirk. The camera was rolling, and she knew how to play her part. She drew out the stop longer than needed, asking him to step out, questioning his route, even calling for backup. 2 officers arrived, both younger, both unsure why they were there. Karen's tone grew louder, more authoritative, every word feeding her need to appear in control. "Ma'am," Malcolm said quietly, "I have the right to record this interaction." "Go ahead," she replied sharply. "Just make sure you get my good side." The smirk returned. But this time, he smiled too, because his camera, hidden inside the car, and had already been recording long before she stopped him, and not just today. For weeks, Malcolm Ross wasn't a local. He was part of a federal task force investigating misconduct and racial bias within small-town police departments. Brookdale. Karen's town had come up on their radar after a series of complaints mysteriously disappeared from official reports. And every one of those reports had one name in common: Officer Karen Hayes. As the stop continued, her tone shifted from authority to provocation. She accused him of smelling like alcohol. Even though there was none, she claimed his registration looked suspicious. Each false claim, each exaggeration went straight to her dashcam and to his. When she finally demanded to search the vehicle, Malcolm refused, calmly, legally, and respectfully, but she didn't care. "Step aside," she ordered, signaling her partner. The search turned up nothing. Still, she wrote him a ticket, one that didn't match any actual violation. It was arrogance, but also habit. She'd done this so many times, she'd forgotten what real justice looked like. Malcolm drove away slowly, watching her in the mirror. He didn't shout, didn't argue, didn't reveal who he was. He didn't have to, because in less than 24 hours, that footage, her words, her lies, her smirk, would be in federal hands. What Karen didn't know was that her dashcam had a silent companion, a hidden receiver, transmitting every frame to a secure FBI server. That day's video would become the most watched footage in Brookdale's history. But this time, she wouldn't be the hero. That night, as she posted a clipped version of the stop online, edited to make her look firm and flawless, Malcolm sat in a motel room, watching the uncut version, every insult, every false accusation, every violation of policy. He leaned back, pressed save, and whispered, "Showtime." By morning, Brookdale was buzzing. The police department's Facebook page had gone silent, and the town's news site crashed under the weight of a single upload, the full, unedited body cam footage of Officer Karen Hayes' last traffic stop. No flashy edits, no music, just truth. It started like every video she'd ever posted, calm, confident, commanding, but halfway through, it began to unravel, her smirk, her tone, the way she twisted his words. And then came the moment that silenced everyone. Another one off the streets. "You're welcome, Brookdale." The internet didn't forgive her arrogance. By noon, hashtags flooded social media. Justice for Malcolm, just Karen exposed. Power and Truth News channels replayed the clip in slow motion, zooming in on her face when she realized she'd lost control of the narrative. Her inbox filled with hate, her badge, once a symbol of pride, now felt like a stain. Inside the station, Chief Daniels slammed his fist on the desk. "How long have you been pulling this crap, Karen?" She tried to defend herself, claimed the video was manipulated, that she'd been set up. But the chief wasn't buying it. The FBI had already contacted him. Hours later, she was suspended pending investigation. By evening, she was trending worldwide, not as Officer Hayes, but as the face of small-town corruption. Meanwhile, Malcolm sat quietly in a press conference. His identity now revealed, he spoke calmly, just as he had during the stop. "This was never about revenge," he said. "It was about accountability. No badge, no uniform, no title should ever protect wrongdoing." His words echoed across the room. Powerful. Steady, unforgettable. Karen watched it live from her couch, her badge lying beside an untouched cup of coffee. For the first time, she didn't see herself as a protector. She saw herself through the lens of her own victims, powerless. Exposed and human, outside her window, reporters gathered, inside. Silence swallowed her, because the same camera that had built her fame had now destroyed her name. Weeks passed. Karen Hayes vanished from the spotlight she once chased. No, more staged traffic stops. No more viral clips, just silence. The kind that forces you to face yourself. Her trial was short. The evidence was undeniable. Tampered reports, edited videos, falsified claims. She lost her badge, her pension, and the respect of a town she'd sworn to serve. But for Malcolm Ross, justice was never about watching her fall. It was about proving a truth too many had ignored, that authority without accountability becomes a weapon, that silence in the face of abuse is its accomplice. He continued his work quietly, documenting cases, training young officers, and reminding every department that integrity doesn't come with a uniform. It comes with courage. Brookdale began to change. Body cams were now reviewed by independent panels. Complaints no longer disappeared. And for the first time in years, people felt they could speak and be heard. Injustice doesn't always wear a villain's face. Sometimes it smiles for the camera. Sometimes it hides behind a badge. What matters is who dares to look closer. And for those who've ever been silenced, ignored, or dismissed, remember this: the world may look away for a while, but justice always finds its witness. If you've experienced or witnessed the same, share your story in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so together we can spread the message further.